lovelies, and welcome back to another episode of our bizarre and unusual world. Today's episode was requested by ASMR Whisper Light. Thank you so much for watching this series and requesting this video. In today's video, we will be diving into the topic of doppelgangers. For this series, we will be covering the who, what, when, where, why, and how of doppelgangers. We are going to start with the what. What is a doppelganger? Or have you heard the word doppelgangers? Most of you have, whether it's in myth, legend, TV, movie, or simply being told that you have a doppelganger.
Because you're a betrothed doppelganger. You're the key to breaking the curse.
Doppelganger is a German word for double goer. A doppelganger is a look-alike of someone or a double, perhaps even a twin of sorts, but much different. Sometimes the doppelganger is portrayed as a supernatural or paranormal occurrence within myth and legend. In some of the myths of these creatures, they are portrayed as evil or a sign of bad luck, a bad omen even. Stories suggest that a doppelganger is an evil twin of sorts, and they predict tragedy or even death to their counterpart. While of course legends do vary on the doppelganger, they are said to try and mislead their look-alike, create tragedy or havoc in some way. People are often advised in these legends and myths to avoid their doppelganger because nothing good can come from meeting your double. Now on to the when. When did the doppelganger term come to life, or when did the legends start? This concept or story of doppelgangers, alter egos, double souls, evil twins, and so on, has been around in folklore for many, many years. Whether that is in myth, religion, and many different cultures spread throughout the entire human history. It is safe to say that doppelgangers have been around in myth, story, legend for centuries and centuries. As for the where, most cultures or heritage have some form of the doppelganger somewhere in their history. Whether it is called a doppelganger or a double soul or whatever is appropriate for that culture, the idea is in the beliefs somewhere. There is an Egyptian version and story called The Greek Princess. This story suggests that during the Trojan War, a doppelganger of Helen was used to mislead Paris of Troy. In Norse mythology, there's also said to be a ghostly double of sorts that is said to perform living actions before the actual person, almost predicting their actions. In Greek mythology, Narcissus falls in love with his reflection, and some people believe that this is somehow related to doppelgangers as well, perhaps in a way to mislead. We also have Finnish mythology that suggests the story of doppelgangers as well. Native American myths also suggest dualistic twins. Hopi legends also reference twins that were named the child of the sun and the child of the water. They also believe in the duality of the upper world and the underworld. Whatever is happening in the upper world, well, the opposite is happening in the underworld. And sometimes those worlds cross and doppelgangers meet. As well as Breton mythology, Cornish, and French folklore have versions of the doppelganger in their history. So now moving on to the how. How have people heard about the doppelgangers? Well, actually, they do pop up in literature quite often, and these days they are seen in TV and film as well. Doppelgangers have held permanent places in stories, legends, forms of art, and other various ways of expressing folklore. Just to name a few literature pieces, we do have a piece from Edgar Allan Poe, a story called William Wilson from 1839. This story describes a double with sinister and demonic thoughts. We also have Prometheus Unbound by Percy Bysshe Shelley, where the doppelganger is described as the counterpart to your true self. George Gordon Byron also used different doppelganger imagery and thoughts to explore human nature and acts. And we also have a novel called The Double that shows and suggests the doppelganger as the opposite personality. Someone who looks exactly like you, but at heart is completely different. This doppelganger would exploit you for your failings and try to take over your life. Now on to the who. So who has a doppelganger? Do you have a doppelganger? Do I have a doppelganger? Do we all have an evil twin out there waiting to disrupt our lives? When you look up the term doppelganger, you'll see that many people believe that celebrities have doppelgangers. They will share comparison photos from today's celebrities to pictures from years and years ago, and some of the similarities are quite fascinating. But is this really a doppelganger, or is it simply just lookalikes? While most doppelganger stories are said to be just works of fiction, legends, or something to tell your family, there have been some real-life stories that suggest people meeting their evil twin. One of the most popular stories about meeting your doppelganger is actually from President Abraham Lincoln. According to a book by Noah Brooks, right after Lincoln was elected in 1860, he arrived home and looked at his mirror. There, he of course saw his reflection, but something wasn't right. He saw a double image. Lincoln said, "Nearly at full length, but my face had two separate and distinct images." He did note that the images did look similar, but one of them looked obviously different, much paler, and just something wasn't quite right about that reflection. His wife ended up being very worried about him seeing a double image in the mirror and believed it was some sort of bad omen. And lastly, why? Why do people have an interest in doppelgangers, or the potential to have an evil twin out there? Some people seem to be fascinated with the idea of having a double out there somewhere, or simply the idea of being able to blame a look-alike for your misfortune. Other people aren't really interested in the mythology of a doppelganger or the paranormal aspect of it. They much rather want to find their doppelganger, and they actually search the world trying to find someone who looks like they could be their double. Many sources say that all of us do in fact have a doppelganger out there somewhere, but most of the time we do not meet. There's a lot of people in this world for all of us to go out and search for a doppelganger. And most of these modern doppelgangers don't hold so much of the evil twin aspect of the legend. It's more of just a fun hobby searching for your twin. People often use the word doppelganger to say they resemble a celebrity, or to use it in a joke, "Oh, my evil twin did it." Still, the legends behind the doppelgangers are very interesting, and they pop up in so many different cultures and beliefs. Do you have a doppelganger out there? Have you ever met your doppelganger, and did it bring you a bad omen? Or did you simply just meet someone that kinda sorta looked like you? Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of our bizarre and unusual world, all about our doppelgangers. As usual, if you have any requests of topics you would like me to include in this series, you can always comment them or message me. I keep track of all of your suggestions. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!